We are here to talk about Black Mirror Season 4, Episode 2, Arkangel. Don't go anywhere, and if you do, we'll know where.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello.
Are you familiar with the Drake?
Have you heard the good word about Drake?
I thought that was clever, you know?
I dig it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV's coverage of Season 4, Episode 2 of Black Mirror, Arkangel. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann.
What's going on, guys? I'm Olivia Gabaree, aka The Real OG. You can find me on all social media at TheReal_O_G.
What's up, party people? I'm Erika Edwards. You can find me on everything at Erika D. Edwards. That's Erika D as in door, Edwards.
So, we're here to talk about Arkangel. The episode that's on the bottom of a lot of people's lists for this season, which has the unfortunate distinction of being the bad episode of 6 episodes. Do you guys agree with that sentiment, or is there more to it?
I don't think it was as good as the first episode, but I haven't seen all of them yet.
I haven't seen all of them yet. Of the ones I've seen, it is the one I like the least. But I'm sure maybe there's something worse. I don't know. But it wasn't, I wasn't really feeling it, but it wasn't horrible.
I think while we're up top talking about it, I think the way I can best describe it is there were 2 distinct themes that should have had their own Black Mirror. One, helicopter parenting, and how is a child raised if a parent literally knows everything to the second that child lives? That's one episode. The other episode is, what would a child's life and how would that child grow into an adult be if you could censor certain things from their lives?
Right. But, and also, you could also see it as this, as a society, we're putting so much of ourselves out there that your parents almost would have the ability to know what you're doing. Not as extreme as watching it live, but if people are just posting videos of themselves doing stuff, I know sometimes my parents even hit me up and be like, hey, I saw you did this or went here or did that.
Right.
And I didn't even tell them. They just know from the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. That's
Oh,
true.
no, but I think censoring what your children see and seeing exactly what your children see in real time are 2 distinctly different themes that I think deserve their own episode. So to mash them together here is part of the problem.
Yeah.
With this episode. This episode was directed by Jodie Foster. This makes it the first Black Mirror episode to be directed by a woman. It was beautifully acted, beautifully directed. It was ultimately a great episode. I think that's where it suffered. Also, that girl did not look 15.
Yeah,
While
she
we're
didn't.
there.
She looks way older than 15. Well, I didn't know she was 15 until her mom was like, she is 15. I was like, oh.
Well,
That's
I don't know. 15-year-olds,
They look
depending.
different these days.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, no,
you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have a problem with her looking older, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people, some girls are fast or whatever.
That's a cherry on top for me for the whole episode. But in this episode, we follow Sarah and her mother, Marie, and then Marie's father, Russ. Sarah's direct father is not in the picture in any way.
And so maybe that's why the mom felt such an attachment to the daughter, because they only had each other at that point.
Yeah.
And not just that,
That's how it starts.
I have several friends who are single parents, and I have found that single mothers specifically, if you don't have someone to bounce off of, she had her dad in the beginning, Russ, but she didn't really listen to him. So if you don't have someone to tell you, look, that's crazy, then you do everything and you make all those choices. And sometimes you need that other person to be like, okay, now you're too involved. This is too much, the baby shouldn't be in the bed with us and she's 9. Let her get her own bed, stuff like that. And sometimes single parents do go overboard because it's just them.
That's true. I would also argue there's a certain cycle of helicopter parenting is usually done by children who were not helicopter parented. And then it creates an overcorrection among generations. That statistically, my parents were fairly hands-off. Like, they'd let me get into my own adventures and then have faith that I'd come back after a certain point in time. But statistically, that means I'm going to grow up being a helicopter parent. Because I'm going to see a bunch of kids. I'm going to see my kids and go, I know what I did when I was given the freedom. I'm not giving you the freedom.
And what kind of world do you live in where like all things are filtered from you, because you never really get scared. You're just extremely naive. So it's like even as simple as walking past a dog who's barking. Like if you don't even know that that's a thing, and then eventually being reintroduced to something that simple, like you really are such a disabled person. And I think the parental lock was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 10, to the point where she couldn't even see blood. Like, that's insane. That's corrupting someone's reality.
Right. And also, to your point, as far as your parents letting you do whatever you want and you being now overprotective, I think part of it is how you react to that. Because she clearly, when she talked about how she broke her arm and because her dad didn't want to put up the baby gate or whatever, she clearly had some sort of kind of like, oh, you just let me run wild. But some people respect that their parents gave them space. So I think that if it's an ideal that you respect and you don't feel like you were harmed by that extra space, you might not grow up to be a crazy helicopter parent.
True.
I have faith in you.
I said statistically I'm most likely to be. If I had a child tomorrow, I would raise the child as close to how I had been raised as possible, because I feel like I was raised correctly.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you respect it, and you don't, I think if you respect it, then you won't over.
It's a matter of if you felt you were raised right or not. If you felt you weren't raised right, you're going to do the exact opposite. If you felt you were raised right, you're going to do exactly what it is. I guess the expert level parenting would be to find places you think your parents did it wrong, but ultimately did it right, and then just like make those tweaks.
Yeah, I think you're correct, and that overcorrecting is what makes you now go into the crazy on the other side of whatever.
I think it's like a 50-50 thing, because there is also the statistic that like if you're in an abusive household as a child, that there's a 50% chance you're going to grow up to be abusive and a 50% chance you're going to grow up to not be. Like it's kind of.
And I sort of see this as kind of abuse.
Yeah.
Unintentional, but it is kind of abuse, where your kid's not going to grow up to be normal if you're not allowing them to see what the world is really like. Like, you're putting a filter over the world to make it seem like it's a better place than it is.
But I would say that some people with enough wealth actually shelter their children in a very similar way.
I actually agree.
Yeah.
Very
and that's why it's kind of ironic, and that's
those are usually the people that are like leading our world and our countries. And
right. And they're unaware of certain things because that just wasn't their reality, you know? But that's a common theme in Black Mirror, where it's so far-fetched, but it's almost not really. It's just like a twist on reality a little bit. An extreme twist.
And what was interesting about it was when they first, she was sheltered, but she kind of was crazy. So,
but she was rebelling against the shelter.
Yeah.
Some would argue
she was rebelling against the shelter. But I felt that there was something to say that because she hadn't been exposed to some of these things, she was also somewhat immune to what they were. So, like when she sees people when they showing the pictures, and she's like, oh, they're talking. Like I wasn't clear.
Well,
now, you know what I'm saying?
This episode does a good job. Obviously, she gets lost in a park briefly, and that's enough to make the mother, I gotta put a chip in my kid's head that I can see them on an iPad at all times.
I have a question about can she feel pain? Did they ever state that? Because I missed it if they did. Because when she was kind of stabbing herself with the pencil, it seemed like she couldn't feel that. Like, can they sense her off the pain as well?
Yeah, they can sense any it was heart rate. They could sense any elevated heart rate. Brianna is our engineer, by the way. That's the voice you're hearing.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that. I'm Brianna.
That's the spirit of Black Mirror. I got the impression that she could feel pain, but that actually, like people who cut themselves and stuff, that's why she was doing it, because she couldn't see her own blood.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like she could feel it.
Well, no, and I also think she wanted to mess with her mom and also prove the point that, like, I couldn't see. It was a good visual, too.
Yeah.
To just kind of get into... So what this episode did masterfully, in the sense that they have to deal with both themes. They're not dealing with just a censorship theme and a helicopter parenting theme. They're using them both in tandem. And they did a good job with that, where they have her get the Arkangel. they have Russ, the grandpa, have a heart attack and not die then, but eventually die.
Right.
And not be saved
we have
because...
to also put in there that it was a free trial. This is what happened when you don't pay for stuff. You get stuff that can never be removed. It was like, oh yeah, she's not a guinea pig. Wink, wink. Like, yes, she is.
She's absolutely a guinea pig.
She's absolutely a guinea pig, and don't do this to your children.
But you can put chips in your kids now
to
like know where they're located. But
you
it's not as
extreme
as knowing their illnesses and their blood
those
sugar
are the ones that are
levels
FDA approved. We don't know about the free trials, do we?
I mean, well, how does the FDA approve stuff? Someone's got to try
Someone's got to try it, and Sarah was that someone.
I think eventually it could even become to this level because all you really need is like a personal camera, and that's totally doable. Because live streaming is such a it's a thing now.
The tech of this is we're not far off on the tech here, so I'm not.
Oh, it's so attainable. It could something similar. I bet it probably exists already. And they're just like working out the kinks.
I'm sure there's a lot of baby tech somewhere in the area of like, because I know you can put an RFID chip in a dog, so I'm sure they've made a safe enough RFID chip that's probably FDA approved for humans.
I'm pretty sure there is.
And like, because I know like, there are companies there are work sites that are just so massive that they do some type of similar thing where you clock in and out where they install an RFID chip in you, and that's just creepy. Like that. I'm happy to live in a world where we still find that creepy and invasive, because I know we may not eventually.
Because I want to be at peace when I take my bathroom break, and I don't want you clocking me. That's just rude. That's horrible, and I'm not going to stand for it. Okay, so the granddad. What were your feelings about him? Because I kind of felt like, I don't know, he was there for her to kind of bounce stuff off of, but.
He felt like the voice of reason to me. That
no one listened to.
Yeah, but he was ultimately the voice of reason that it's like, do you want to know what happened?
But I think when she did like confide in him and see him as like a balance to her, because when he died, it's almost like she kind of felt out of control to the point where she needed full control all the time. I think losing him made her even more obsessive.
Well, yeah, because the theme was very clear that Marie wanted control. Marie wanted control over the situation, and in doing so, she always wanted to know where Sarah was. She got away with doing it lo-fi by turning off we're going to call it the grain, because this is the same technology from Entire History of You.
Yeah.
Just a much earlier version of it that did not succeed. But like ultimately, what she did was she turned off the grain. So that the kids thought she was a snitch, which made her ostracized in her own community, which, I know growing up that if there was a kid in the schoolyard, that the second we did something bad, we all found out, because that kid would immediately tell their parents.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hang out with that kid.
No, because you don't want to be exposed.
So if it was implicit.
Why didn't they turn it off when she, sat there watching her grandfather have a heart attack? I was like, that's when you turn it off. You don't be like, oh, okay, yeah, I still don't want her to see bad stuff, even if people die around her. Wait,
what do you mean turn it off?
When the grandfather had his heart attack and the little girl couldn't see it, she couldn't call for help, and it was kind of like, what is wrong with her? Yeah. And it was like, oh, that's too bad, but she didn't get rid of the tablet
at that point. She didn't even understand what death really was. So that I see that point, but also from the mother's perspective, she was probably like, I would have never known that he is, hurt and I have to go there. She would have never known that something was wrong if she wasn't tapping into her daughter's head. So she was probably like, oh, this is beneficial because I can save the day.
I ultimately found out about Russ's heart attack faster because of this technology. This technology is saving lives.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until she's 7 years old and being ostracized socially, because anytime a kid did wrong in front of Sarah, that kid gets in trouble almost immediately. Probably gets DM'd a video of exactly how their kid did wrong.
Yeah, like a screenshot.
That there's definitely something there that she eventually convinces the mother to turn this off. I do like the joke that the second they turned it off, Trick shows her a bunch of porn.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. And he was like, you do this to make babies, but not like this. Like, it's a different kind.
Yeah, that was
There's talk about that line in the forums that there's some weird universe that there's a different kind of sex. I took that how it was written.
Yeah, I think that was too far. I think he was just a naive kid that didn't really.
I guess he'd be 10 if she were 7. A 10-year-old would just think, well, in order to make babies, you got to do not that. Just a different.
This is the special kind.
This is the porn kind.
It's just you're just like you're a naive kid. But it's funny, he's like trying to introduce her to like everything in the world.
Which is probably worse if you had had terrible things censored from you from I think they said 4 to 7, and then at 7 they just kind of flip the switch and you get it all at once. Like, that's worse.
You're so naive and they're over saturating it. You know, everything just hits you. You're like, whoa,
and
this world sucks.
And here's the point where I think, had they done an episode where it was just about what would Sarah's life be like if her mom censored if her mom just censored things, this is the moment where she doesn't turn it off. And we still jump to her being 15 years old, and then having lived a sheltered, unseen life. Like, think of bad things that a 7-year-old up to a 15-year-old would see. Yeah. And then imagine a child not seeing those things.
No, I know.
They'd be a weirdo. They'd be unprepared for everything. They'd be skittish.
This is not the
Or
same.
they would also be like Sarah, like borderline serial killer. Like, she's drawing these crazy pictures. She's stabbing herself. I mean, I think at some point, she's starting to become immune to these things that she hasn't seen. Like, she doesn't really think...
because she doesn't have a frame of reference that they're bad because she's never seen them.
That whole thing about when she was looking at the pictures, I felt like... I don't know, it kind of creeped me with her. I was she's
but she
not
doesn't
like
know any better. Honestly, when I was little, there were kids that could watch Nickelodeon and kids that couldn't. And when I would go over to my friend's house and they're like, "Oh, we're not allowed to watch TV," or "We can't watch the Rugrats," I would be like, "You're weird. Like, why is that?"
Yeah.
And this is like a more extreme example.
The super extreme of like, well, I literally don't even see what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I don't understand the concept of fighting. I don't know what blood is. I don't know, like, this animal is barking at me and I don't even know that's something I should be scared of.
Because anything that raises my heart rate, a computer automatically assumes I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Think of things in...
Even pleasurable things would be filtered out.
Like, think of things that we do in our daily lives as adults that would raise our heart rate enough that would otherwise turn on a parental filter. And then imagine you never saw those things. Mm-hmm. Like, that kid would be a mess.
Right.
Like, an absolute mess. And I think that's one episode they could have done. The other episode is minus the parental filter, but she gets to see the grain. I think this was one element too many. Is where we are with this episode. By the way, this episode was still great. It's still Black Mirror. I think Black Mirror is like pizza, in the sense that
there's too many toppings.
If it's great, it's great. If it's not great, it's still pizza.
Yeah.
And you eat a whole pie and you feel sad. I think that's the perfect comparison for Black Mirror.
Okay, fair enough.
But Sarah's 15 years old. She runs into Trick, who she apparently hadn't seen, who is, we've established he's 18 or 19. And she's 15. Mm-hmm. Although the actress, whatever.
We'll play along.
It's a common thing in the blogosphere that they're like, that girl don't look 15.
Yeah.
But she runs into Trick. Trick is in a creepy van. Can we point this out? Yeah. Trick is driving a real creepy van, like, if... just as an objective bystander.
Well, because he's the bad boy.
He's the drug dealer.
They're painting us the
what
picture.
kind of van drug dealers drive? That's, I guess, creepy van.
Something less conspicuous than a van?
It's a black
it's
van.
A little too loud. It's too loud,
But it wasn't like black or gray. It was a van.
Couldn't he just have like a mid-90s Toyota like most 19-year-olds?
Yeah, right?
Well, they had to make deliveries.
True. But like...
Is he delivering pounds? Like...
It was a big creepy van. Like, I was a little concerned for Sarah. Rightfully. But Sarah goes and lies to her mother and says, I'm going elsewhere.
I really wasn't worried about him, though. Like, I
was worried about him.
I wasn't worried about Sarah. I feel like Sarah's borderline sociopath.
I feel like it was Sarah that was, like, so pushy, and he kind of wanted her to be, like, a nice...
Yeah.
Like, I think that he really liked her. He didn't want her to, like, take any drugs. When they were having sex, he was like, you don't need to act like that. You could just be normal. Mm-hmm. Whereas you would think it would be the opposite, that she would be like such a timid, damaged person, and he was like this drug dealer, bad boy, 18-year-old.
I do like that they actually flipped the switch. That Trick was, it was regular teenage love.
He was a nice dude.
Yeah.
In spite of
Yeah.
ultimately what it looked like, which was that he's an older boy in a van who deals drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
You see? That's all the mom saw. She didn't see that it was her daughter that was the problem
She didn't
because
see
of her.
that her daughter
Or
was
that there
growing up to be
wasn't-
a serial killer.
or that
and
there
was
wasn't a
actually-
problem.
Yeah.
Or that Sarah dating Trick implicitly imposed no problem. What the problem was
That she was aware.
that the mom found out. The mom went on a date, and it seemed from Sarah's reaction, the mom had never been on a date before.
Mm-hmm.
In
Or
Sarah,
not for a while.
Not for a while. I think they kind of implied.
With a married man, though.
Well, we're not all perfect, and
Just
he
saying.
may be going through a divorce. We're not going to get into it.
Just saying.
She can't find her because she lied.
Right.
But think of all teenage. When I was
Moms
15,
do this.
I lied about where I was all the time. And, like, if my mom knew what I was doing when I was, like, we've all done stuff behind our parents' back because that's a part of growing up. You don't tell them everything, and then your character develops based on the experiences you've been through.
But it's also but the relationship and the honesty within the relationship with your parental unit is what was actually broken here. And I understand there's two sides of the coin, because a mother feeling betrayed by their daughter is a very specific type of feeling. And I understand that that's how Marie felt. And this was seemingly the first time Sarah had lied to her.
That
However-
she knew of.
However, Marie's job is to be the parent, not to control the situation. Marie tried to control the situation, not be the parent. If she were trying to be the parent, she would have confronted her with this information immediately, good or bad.
That's why I was actually thinking the same thing, because I thought it was so strange. Even just how she was coming in, she was blatantly lying to her. Of course, she couldn't reveal the fact that she turned it on and was looking again.
But then you press harder or say, I don't believe you. Or
Right. I called everyone's parents and you weren't there,
Yeah.
so where
See,
were you?
like low
That's
tech,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
You know,
Lo-fi,
like,
that's the way to go, where it's just, well, I called everyone's parents, you weren't there, where were you? And
Right.
see if pressed, will Sarah actually fess up, or will
Right.
she dig deeper? And if she digs deeper, then that's a teachable moment to just be like, can you just lie to me once? Or better yet, not do stuff you feel like you need to lie to me about?
and then it was kind of a domino effect, because like having control over one thing led to wanting to have control over another thing, and eventually she is affecting her daughter's life like on the low without her kid even knowing. To the point where she's like, okay, I know you're pregnant, this ain't your choice, like let me take care of this for you without you even knowing. That's insane.
Well,
But also it's like being a parent, like, oh, I know this is in your best interest, so let me just control it. This isn't something you're gonna understand, but it's wrong, because your kid has to experience things to learn lessons. You can't just control everything they do.
And it's
Right, to
ultimately...
some extent, but whether she had the filter or not, if she knew that this kid was giving her daughter drugs, she would do the same. She would still go to his work and be like, look, leave my daughter alone. You know what I'm saying? She just wouldn't have video.
Why wouldn't she confront her daughter first?
Maybe she should have rewound the video and saw it was her daughter that was asking for it and not the kid forcing it on her.
Right, but I think she was blinded to kind of
Well, everyone
some
thinks
of
their kid's
Sarah's
an angel.
flaws, clearly, because, I mean, I think she didn't truly see Sarah as she was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which
So-
is, I think that's part of the problem, too, that if anything, the Arkangel as tech should allow you to see your child as they are and what they're doing. And it didn't.
Right.
Because she ultimately saw the outside world affecting her child.
Exactly. And that
Instead
was
of-
part of the issue, because I was like, Sarah is borderline, she's controlling. She wanted to do drugs. He wasn't like, ooh, try my cocaine. She was the one aggressively getting the drugs, and her mother never saw that or didn't grasp that or
Didn't care.
understand that.
She assumed everyone's messing with her baby instead
Exactly.
and like a person, and it's unfortunate, the kind of person who would get an Arkangel would be the same kind of person who would think the entire world is out to destroy their child, where like neither is true. Like,
Yeah.
kind of the truth is somewhere in the middle. That the earth is an awful place, but it's not this mean and terrible place where everyone's out to destroy your child and give them drugs.
True.
So,
Very true.
but she can't look and see that a lot of the problem is just Sarah.
Exactly, and
You need to confront your child about
an
wanting to
issue.
have sex and do drugs.
But I almost feel like it's a little bit the mom's fault anyway, that Sarah's so rebellious and so curious and whatever, because maybe
I
had
felt
she
like
grown up
part of it
normal-
was the kind of what you were saying, the intersection of the two storylines. Because to me, I honestly felt like Sarah was 3 steps away from killing cats in the backyard. It was something creeping me out about Sarah as she grew older. Like, she was cute up until about 4 or 5, and after that I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I think part of it was that being screened from everything bad, everything painful, she somehow was immune to some of these things, and also found excitement and this danger in being in these crazy situations and was pushing for that. And I think it was because of the whole screening thing, not so much because her mother knew everything, but because she wasn't exposed to any of these things.
Well, because she doesn't understand danger.
Right.
How do you understand danger if you never saw it? If you always saw just a friendly blur that used to be a dog, there's a reason your heart rate rises when you see a dog. It's because you initially think it's a danger to you. So if you never learn that fight or flight,
Exactly. It's basic like sociology.
Because if somebody tried to mug her, they'd come up filtered. And she, just to lower her heart rate, and then she'd get mugged.
Yeah.
Like that's inefficient.
I was
Maybe that's
thinking
why
that
the Arkangel
too.
went bankrupt.
And it's like
Bad code.
if you're still
Of course.
if you're filtering out danger still exists.
But
It's
you're not just filtering out
filtered.
danger, you're filtering out anger, you're filtering out sadness, you're filtering out empathy, which I think Sarah lacked a lot of. So it's like, so if you see something like your grandfather having a heart attack, or if you see someone being injured, you're sort of like, oh, okay, because you didn't see a busted lip until you were 12. So you don't really, have any sort of feelings of what causes people pain as well. And I think
it's
that
like far-fetched that she couldn't have learned any of that within the 12 to 15 time period, like when it was turned off.
Yes, but
I think by that point she's already a sociopath.
Because I think it was established that from 4 to 7,
it's
She
basically
had worn
child
it.
development is like a thing. You have to learn all these things and witness all these things in order to understand it as you're older. Because at a certain point, it's like you still learn things, of course, your entire life, but your foundation is definitely the most important, as to it shapes you to become
because
who you are.
because
And
I
that's
think
why
you
she's nuts.
because I think you develop these concepts pretty early on, like between
Exactly.
4 and 7. So the fact
You're watching everything when you're a kid. Think about it. Like, you're a sponge absorbing everything. And if you have nothing to absorb, like, who are you?
Yeah, and I think she definitely, by the time she was a teenager, she definitely lacked empathy for what other people were going through, I think. And I think it was because she wasn't exposed to it when she was younger.
I think her mom would have been smart too when she took her off of it, not just to take her off of it, but then kind of start teaching her some of the things that
Yeah.
she knows that she hadn't learned. Like, you went to that whole therapist meeting, you saw some of the things she didn't learn, but you're not gonna kind of envelop that into her. As
Exactly.
She
I
goes
was
back
like,
into the world.
she's going to start killing cats. You need to talk to her.
did the people at Arkangel before they went bankrupt not develop a pamphlet to give to the test subjects of like, so here's the stuff that your kids didn't learn because of our product. We're sorry.
Yeah, here's all the people that randomly got murdered through the filter.
Here's at the very least a pamphlet to explain that your child will lack empathy because they didn't learn the concept of fear or pain or sorrow or like anxiety from 4 to 7, when you would really, really, really need. I'm not saying she's completely nose deaf to those things. That would be if they never turned it off until she was 15, and I've mentioned that's a completely different episode.
Right.
But I am saying from 4 to 7, she's incredibly stunted to a point that by the time she's 15, she's not ready.
Yeah.
Which it becomes self-fulfilling, and that is what I did like about this episode, is that Marie ultimately self-fulfilled the prophecy. She got the Arkangel installed in Sarah so that bad things wouldn't happen, and then the Arkangel, by installing the Arkangel, she essentially created a virtue by which bad things would happen. Because like, this is kind of the worst thing
Right.
that could happen to a 15-year-old: sex, drugs, leaves.
Yeah.
True.
Well, no, more importantly, leaves your mother for dead. That's also important.
Sex, drugs, violence, and then hitchhikes with a trucker.
But and it was it was so ironic that when she was beating her mom with the thing, you know, it was glitching, so she couldn't see what was happening to her mom. And it's like, well, it's filtered out, so she doesn't know how bad she's hurting me because she can't see it. But like, it's my fault.
And I think even if she saw it, she wouldn't care. I'm not gonna say she wouldn't care, but I think Sarah would have been all right.
Yeah, but when when the filter finally came off, that's when she was like, whoa, and she dipped.
Yeah, she was like, whoa, yeah, she's dead. I'm gone.
So we didn't talk a lot about the abortion. So we have to assume that whatever chip is in there does more than just does more than just basic to the minute diagnostics. That it can somehow find out. The Arkangel can somehow know that it's pregnant, that its subject is pregnant.
I mean, in the beginning, remember how the doctor was like, this should be included in her diet, like
right.
That
it's created to do pretty much. It sounds like it's a full diagnostic that you would get at a regular checkup, at a doctor, but 24/7. Which is interesting. I'm actually, on itself, I'm okay with that.
That would be kind of cool to have something to be able to tell you, like, what's wrong with you, or if you're sick, but even if something more should be in your diet, just in real time. It's kind of cool. But it could also be abused to the max.
Also, I want to point out that Marie is probably a tech genius. Because imagine a tablet 15 years ago. Because let's assume there were iPads 15 years ago, which there weren't. That would have been 2001, 2003. So imagine a Motorola Razr. Now imagine a video shot on a Motorola Razr.
Right.
Now imagine finding a Motorola Razr and then somehow putting that video onto your computer and being able to get it in a sendable format. That's incredible.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, she's whipping this tablet out that's years and years old, and it's just working. Like, you know, don't you need a software update or something?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I was like, did she charge it? I don't recall.
It was plugged into the wall.
Okay. Yeah, they made her plug it into the wall.
She was
I thought that
come
was good.
on. Yeah, that's true. She did do that. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that she was able to cut his head out and do the little search and everything. Yeah, it was sort of interesting, the advanced technology, but then the post-dated outfits or whatever. Like, I kind of like that mix of technology. And what year is it? I did like that, actually.
I also like the idea that you could have, if Sarah wanted to stop her mother from doing this, she would need only hide the charger.
True.
Because think of a charger from 15 years ago versus now. And if you were working solely on a device from 15 years ago and then somebody took the charger away,
you're screwed.
You literally...
And this company doesn't exist anymore, so you'd have to get one on eBay or something if someone by chance has one.
It would be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing would be ridiculous.
And then there was a question of the actual abortion pill, because I don't think Plan B quite works the way they indicated. Like, it's not just gonna like flush the baby out of you like it seemed to do.
Maybe in the future.
In this series, yeah, like it's not quite like that. Like, because Plan B is like a contraceptive, so it's not like an abortion pill. It's just sort of like when you know.
There is an abortion pill though.
There is an abortion pill.
But a doctor has to administer it.
Yeah, but that's
right?
not. Yeah, it's not over the counter. You're not just gonna get an abortion pill from Walgreens like for $50. Not that I know this.
Although,
I'm just saying.
hypothetically,
it's around $42. Yeah.
Hypothetically, a mother with her daughter's vitals could have a doctor write the script without the daughter's consent. Hypothetically, seemingly that isn't what happened.
Yeah.
Because that's extra steps and scenes, and you got to hire somebody to play a doctor for no reason. Like, I understand why that's not there.
Yeah.
That you could just be like, it's a distant future. They give the abortion pill away now.
Yeah.
Which
tastes great in a smoothie, I guess. I don't know.
But I thought it was a little crazy how she was just like making decisions. It was crazy because at that point she's not supposed to know that her daughter's pregnant. She's not even supposed to know that her daughter was with a dude. And now she's like, plot twist, like you're my puppet. Like I'm controlling what you're doing and you don't even know.
Which once again,
I mean, I think the fact that she didn't know is I guess what's so far over the line. But I definitely know parents who were like that. Like if their child got pregnant in high school, they were like, you're going to have an abortion. And they made their kids do it.
Yeah, of course. But not even, did the daughter even know that she was pregnant?
No,
No,
the
she
daughter
didn't.
didn't find out till
Yeah.
the nurse told her after she was sick.
You see, that's
Because,
wild.
and that's what led me to believe that it was an abortion pill, not a Plan B pill, because she was like violently ill after taking it in her smoothie.
Right.
Because I've been told that pill makes someone violently ill for like a long time, for like half a day.
Yeah, it's
But, like,
that's crazy.
Which that's a terrible thing to do to your child without letting them know that it's happening. I think the theme of wanting to control versus wanting to parent is very clear. That Marie doesn't actually want to parent, she wants to control.
I mean, she probably just thinks that parenting is controlling.
Yeah, parenting
Yeah, I mean,
is...
I think
She
at
doesn't
that
know the
point,
difference.
she was so obsessed with protecting her from Trick and what she thought Trick was doing to her daughter that I think she just lost all sight of what was really ethical and moral and real. You know what I'm saying? At that point. So I don't think necessarily that it was all about control. I think it was also... At that point, she was full on like protection mode. Like, he got my daughter pregnant, he got her on drugs, he's ruining her life. And I'm going to do whatever I can to stop it, even if that's hurting my daughter.
that she raised to be susceptible to bad influences.
That basically she raised to be a psycho serial killer that started with her beating her up.
Well,
like that
because
was
she did that rightfully. Like, I also feel like Sarah reacted rationally to finding all of that out at once.
Yeah, I would have flipped out. I probably wouldn't have beat my mom's ass, but I would have I would have. The thing is I don't know why she just left the tablet there for her mom to like come back and discover. I would have just went home, took the tablet, destroyed it, and then been like, "Are you serious? What is your problem?"
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that Sarah beats her mom is just evidence of her lack of at all empathy. Like, she can't, she's not used to these emotions, and so she can't
doesn't
control them.
understand. Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
and she just goes crazy. And then she's like, oh, and then I love the fact that they flash back to like the 80s, like, who is hitchhiking anymore? I'm like, really? The thumbs up? Are we doing
That
this?
happens. You gotta get somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's
I don't
off.
know. That's like, whew, I'm like, yeah, now she is going to get raped and murdered. That's a great ending.
No.
Thanks, Black Mirror.
Well, she's gonna.
Cute. She's a 15-year-old, according to you all, that looks 20. Now she's getting into a truck. This is not going to end well. I'm just going to say
Her mom
She's
could
gonna
probably
live
get
her
a new
life in
tablet.
the world, and the world might not be the best place, and she'll have to learn to navigate that place.
Yeah, and now that your mom's injured,
Well, she's also
she could have
wanted
just gone
for-
back to Trick.
She's
That's
also
what she
wanted
could've
for
done.
assault. Well, no, but
Exactly.
she doesn't.
Attempted murder, I would say.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Sarah doesn't know that Marie told Trick to run away.
I think she probably assumes though.
I don't think she does. I think she assumes Trick was one and dunning her.
Yeah, but then
Completely separate.
Well, what made her curious about the chip?
Because she was sick because
The pregnancy.
Yeah, she was sick
Right,
because
but
her
then it's
mom
like-
found out she was pregnant.
But how would her mom? Then she probably assumed that her. Wait, no, she.
I don't
did
think she would have put that
She
together.
rewatched.
I think she
stuff,
would. I
though.
thought she went back and looked at
She
the...
rewatched it.
Fair enough.
But to be
Yeah.
like, oh, my mom knew I was pregnant. That means she knows I had sex. That means she's probably gonna knows who I did it with. Because
True.
She's,
I don't think she
thought-
knows.
I thought there was a scene where she went through and saw
She
some of the
did.
stuff that her mom
It was
had been
right when
looking
she
at.
got the
but she
tablet
didn't.
back.
But she didn't see her mom go and tell Trick.
Oh,
and it
but
would
she
be
had to assume. She
no.
had to
It could
assume.
be just as reasonable that Trick was an 18-year-old boy who wanted to bang a 15-year-old and then not see her ever again.
I guess.
That's a coin flip's chance that she'll never really know either which way. Both would make sense.
Okay.
Okay. But
Because-
I felt like she knew, and then she still kind of got on the truck, which I was kind of like, girl, go talk to Trick again. You know what I mean?
I feel like
kinda
I
fe-
would have
But
assumed.
Trick
that
doesn't.
was
But
her.
she feels alone. That's why if she felt she could talk to Trick, she wouldn't have hitchhiked. She would have went to him. She felt hurt by him, separate from all of this. I think she believed what Trick said, that it's just like, listen, this isn't that big deal. Like, I don't know. I could believe it. I could believe an 18-year-old boy would do that.
I mean, I could believe that too until I saw that my mom knows that I've been sleeping and doing coke. Then I'd be like, oh, okay, I know my mom crazy. She probably went and said something to him. I do feel like I think it can go either way because I wasn't clear on that. I was like, I feel like she should know her mom, Googled him and did all this other stuff. Like, I don't know, not everything because that obviously wasn't on the video, but I feel like she knows her mom's crazy. Like, I don't know. I was kind of, the whole her getting on the truck thing, that was, I guess that didn't sit right with me because I was like, okay, I mean, I know you think she's dead, but and you could be trying to get away from the police. I'll give you that because you're a psychopath. But I don't know. I kind of felt like she should have gone back and tried to talk to Trick again, to be honest. So.
But she didn't. Also, our chat is actually fine. I think our chat may have found a little something extra from this episode. There was a line where she said I had to run some tests in case we have a neuro outbreak. Neuro would mean like N-E-U-R-O. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she got into a chemical truck. That's who she hitchhiked with. And also in the scene where Sarah was at the park, people are claiming they saw the same or similar type of chemical trucks.
Okay.
So there might be an extra level of the world Sarah lives in is actually really terrible, and we, the audience, were kind of shielded from it. Let me know in the comments if I'm tinfoil hatting right now.
Wait,
I do that from time to time.
Explain it to me more. So I'm not really understanding.
Wait, go back to the part about the neuro.
I think there was a line of dialogue that leads us to believe that there have been crazy outbreaks of like widespread diseases in this world.
Okay.
Whose line was that? At what point? What do you mean?
I believe that was Marie's line because wasn't Marie a nurse?
Yes, she was a nurse.
So Marie was a nurse, so maybe she I believe that was a line
when she was when she was testing people. Is that what?
Yeah, I think I think
okay.
there's something there that was some stakes that we're not really catching on to that might have a little more to do with maybe Sarah lived in a world where she shouldn't have run away.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
That's at least where it is. That's our chat's on point today.
Okay.
Finding some little things
gems.
that I don't know. I wish that could be more pronounced then, because I think that would help the case. Because I guess we're supposed to choose between Team Marie or Team Sarah, like
Who's really at fault?
But like at the same time, I don't know. At the same time, just like the first episode, I thought there was a pretty clear-cut villain here, and it was Marie, because she didn't want a parent; she wanted to control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, I feel like why am I always so obstinate? I do agree that Marie was overprotective and everything. But yeah, I still don't feel like your kid should bash you in the head and leave you for dead, bloody on the floor. Which I was amazed she got back up and was able to stagger around. So it's glad that she's okay, Marie. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Sarah. I don't know. I think she was a little bit of a sociopath there in the end to me.
I don't know. It's a nature nurture thing. I think a mother can be held accountable for her kid's thoughts. At a certain point, a mother can't be held accountable for the kid's actions.
Right.
Then I think that's where we are with Sarah, where it's like Sarah did wrong, and you could argue that she's a victim, and that's why she did wrong, but she still did wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and if the police ever find her, that's how they're going to have to handle it.
Exactly. I think up until the point where she totally flips. I mean, she's right to be angry, and I would even say to leave, but yeah, like beating her mom senseless was just
actually
too far.
I love how I'm coming down the other way from episode 1, because it's kind of the same argument, which is in episode 1, the captain Daly created a bunch of people, and then those people ultimately killed him.
Yeah,
and I said he was a straightforward villain. And now here I'm softening up a little bit, maybe because Sarah's an actual person.
Yeah.
Perhaps, and that Marie is an actual person. I don't know. Let us know. I think that is a kind of a recurring theme we just caught here, that it's the idea of strings and puppetry, and if you can control things and then the things mutiny against you, is it ultimately your fault?
And it all boils down to technology as well, because technology is like the enabler in both situations, and I'm sure that's going to be an extremely consistent theme throughout this season. Because technology has so much to do with our worlds now. That's what makes Black Mirror so ironic and kind of scary, because it's like, okay, we're kind of on the borderline of, is this a real thing, or is this
it's whatever issue that you have with I mean, every season is always like that. Whatever technology that you're like, okay, this is cool. You know, kind of like call waiting. It was okay at first. Now, yeah, I'm not clicking over. I don't want to hear, I'll talk to you later. Now it's just a pain. And like when you first got it, it was like, oh my gosh, caller ID, so exciting. Now, yeah, now you know that person saw you calling and just isn't taking your calls.
Yeah.
So I think Black Mirror always has this way of flipping technology that you think is amazing on its head. Like it is kind of great that you can find out like where your dog is or where your cat is or where your car is when it gets stolen. But now you've created a sociopath who is, can't empathize with sorrow because she's never seen anything sad in her life. So.
That's that bad code, though.
Yes, you're right. Bad coding can do it. Everything.
I think the world of Black Mirror just needs
better
more
coders.
they need more socially aware, woke, self-actualized Steve Wozniaks, or in last episode's case, dailies.
Exactly.
I think that's a good place to leave us. I believe we're going to be here this time next week.
We're still figuring it out.
A voice will correct me if
our Black Mirror voice?
A voice will correct me if we know.
We may or may not. We'll figure it out after the show, but we'll definitely update every viewer via Twitter. So check out there.
Great. So,
all right, cool.
You guys can follow at AfterBuzz TV. You can also follow my hosts.
You can hit me up at the real OG, the real _O_G.
You can find me at Erika D. Edwards. That's Erika D as in door, Edwards.
And you guys can find me on Twitter almost exclusively. That's at Steve Kaufmann, and it's KAUFMANM. We will be back to cover the remaining 4 episodes of Black Mirror, hopefully with Adrian Snow, or I'll just get her DNA and make a simulation.
But it'll be amazing.
But thank you all so much, and good night.
Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.